Yeah, of course she is. All right. That was my intro now. I'm gonna have to cut that. But I really tried to incorporate something to catch my viewers' eyes and ears once the show first started. So once again, it's Jeff Gatsby Wilson's Black Entrepreneur with my guest, Marcia Novella. And I've been meaning to ask you about that name. Is it Marcie Novella?
Marcie Novella.
Okay. Well, we all know you from Sid's I.K. Stevens from your earlier work, but welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so most of you may know this young lady. She's been a good friend of the DJ Gatsby show. She's been a good friend of DJ Gatsby's book club and basically WB Media Group in a whole. I've worked with her from her first book to her first film, and we've continued to have a relationship, a business relationship since then. So Marcie, for people who are seeing you for the first time, just tell them who you are, where you're from, and why you're so happy to be on the show today.
My name is Marcie Mallory. I'm now adapting my middle name, so I'm using Marcie Novella to kind of stand out, to be unique. I am originally from South Carolina, Alvin, South Carolina, but I've been representing Brooklyn now for the last 30 years.
It's like BK all day, BK all day. Yeah, and speaking of Brooklyn, how was New York, man? I miss New York, and I haven't lived there in a few years. How's Brooklyn? How's New York City?
New York is great. At times, crime is high in certain areas.
Okay.
So just try to keep a low profile and stay away from the trouble.
I liked what you said that. I'm here in the Atlanta area, and it's basically the same thing. Um, I think I was talking the other day, telling you I don't get out as much. I don't go as many places and do a lot of things and be in the community or the city as much as I did where I lived at before. But enough of that, man. This is the new show, the new program, the Black Entrepreneur. We brought you back on because we really want to talk to you about your business interests. You wear a lot of hats and you do a lot of things. And we want our viewers to know that this isn't a hustle. This isn't, a side business. You're a legitimate businesswoman that has career paths and are very serious about your business. So we all know that you are an author. You can talk about your books, but as an entrepreneur and an author, how did you get started about the business of publishing your book? Are you a publisher? Are you self-published? Or, how did your book career start on a business level?
On a business level, I became self-published, did my own funding and advertisement, but within time, I learned more about the business. So I learned how to be educated, attending seminars, and also being mentored by people who are entrepreneurs themselves.
Yeah, and I like what you said when you said you started as a self-publishing, but you wanted to learn more about the industry. So you reached out to people, professionals in the industry, to learn more and become a better businesswoman. Kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
I'm actually going through that same thing. I've done so much for myself for so long that I had to ended up going to business school, ended up taking seminars and learning about how to become a better businessman. So what is the name of your publishing company?
I don't have a publishing company. I
Oh,
have I have a business that I do, and my business is Marvelous Mom Production LLC. And that business is community based. Anything positive that anyone is doing throughout the community,
okay.
I support it and try my best to help bring awareness to causes, fundraisers, as well as the film production.
Yeah. Speaking of the film production, not only were you an author, but you're also a film producer. I was actually invited to a screening for your film in Brooklyn a few years ago. Fabulous film, marvelous experience. I'm so happy I was there and bonded with you, your family, and your staff, and the people that are working with you going forward in your work with sudden infant death syndrome. Tell us a little bit about the film business and how you got into the film business. What was a major step that you took to become a film producer?
Well, like any other person, if you tell a story about your life, you want it to be told in your own words.
Sure.
So I learned more about the business with just trying to enhance my story. And then I became a producer and started spending time with other people that taught me about the business. I didn't know anything at first, but I gradually learned how to do my marketing, how to raise money and do things to push forward.
Yeah, I like that, man. It's a common theme with you and your vision or your passion for books and film. Um, you jumped right in and said, "I'm going to start this, but I'm going to look for help and learn how to become successful along the way by reaching out and working with other people." Now, what are the names of the two films that you've done? I saw one at the screening in Brooklyn, but I understand you recently completed a documentary on sudden infant death syndrome. Tell us about the two films real briefly and how they've impacted your business career.
Well, the first half of my book, which is called On Your Stupidity, the film is also called On Your Stupidity, the short film. And that had to do with being a fatherless daughter. And I did the second half of the film, which is Owning SIDS, dealing with families who've lost their child to sudden infant death syndrome.
Okay. Now, speaking about the second film, the first part was based solely on the book or your experiences. Now, but this second film, the documentary, where you addressed sudden infant death syndrome head on um, by speaking to people who had been impacted um, by this. Um, what was the real, what was the motivation behind that film? What was the motivation behind that film? But guy giving a voice to sudden infant death syndrome and having people speak for themselves.
The motivation was to bring change to the laws. I had been in support groups and realized everybody had a common factor. And
Sure.
that common factor was that they wanted the laws changed and they wanted to bring more awareness to SIDS.
Okay. Now, since that film has released, I've noticed that you've kind of taken on a role of an advocate in a lot of ways. You have been recognized for your work in that area. Tell me a little bit about how your passion, specifically as an advocate and a supporter of a person who had to increase awareness, has changed and intensified over the past year or so.
Well, at the beginning of the year, I was doing fundraisers to help fund the film. The film still need funding post production. So I've been doing popcorn and candy drives. And then later on, I started making moves about changes with the law. And I was honored to be acknowledged at the Sitter Awards by the Senator Comrie. He gave me an award for the film, and that motivated me more to talk about the cause. And I'm just so happy because I actually did a public speaking engagement where I had an audience listen to what I had to say. And it was really a nervous experience, but I got up there and I got it done.
Yeah, I actually saw that. I actually saw a film. You sent it to me because I had missed it online, and I saw you there at the podium. And I was kind of anxious to see how you had grown as a speaker, how you had grown as an advocate for sudden infant death syndrome, and were so comfortable addressing the senator, the audience, thanking them for the recognition, but again, mentioning the struggle and the fight, and that your work hasn't been done. Um, where are we with some of the issues that you were talking about, bringing information, bringing recognition, and changing the laws. I'm sure you must have spoken to the senator or other people in politics. Where does that stand? What are some of the main issues with the sudden infant death syndrome that you're trying to push and bring attention to?
Well, the police department was the number one issue that many of the interviewees and other parents had. They wanted to have the police officer be trained because many officers come on the scene and they didn't know what SIDS was. So we're not addressing uh, finding a cure. That's another topic.
Sure.
But we are trying to just bring awareness more for people to deal with the parents with care. Another issue is child welfare. Many of the parents had their older children taken away from the home because of this. And last but not least, the biggest issue that I'm passionate about is getting all the medical examiners to have the same time frame nationwide. We have some parents that got their results in 3 months. We don't know if that's quality, but then other parents had to wait 2 years.
Wow. What do you mean when you say the results, like information concerning the cause of death and having it categorized as sudden infant death syndrome?
Absolutely. So
Wow.
they on pins and needles waiting to find out the actual ruling. And then you got families and other members that may think that is foul play. So the results vindicate them in a way that they don't have to deal with people judging them.
Yeah. The stigma of that, of losing a child that way. You had mentioned that to me before. I think when we first met and we started talking about this issue. Um, who who are there some people you'd like to thank for the support that you're getting, or some people you'd like to acknowledge that have really been supportive and helped you along the way at this time?
Well, of course, I'd like to thank Senator Comrie for giving me the award and acknowledging me.
Yes.
And also Janice Bragg, she was responsible for the organization of the Sitter Award, as well as anybody who supported the fundraisers, anybody that had me on their show to speak about it, and the cast and the crew could not I couldn't have done it without them. It's not just my story. There were 6 parents giving their
Sure.
experience, and that takes courage. And I really appreciate the crew that came out because we came to a central location, so many people traveled. It was just a great experience of doing the film.
Wow. Yeah, and yeah, kudos and to everybody that participated with the film, and the senator and everybody there in New York who's rallying around you, to show you the love and support for what you're doing. Once again, it's DJ Gatsby. You're watching The Black Entrepreneur. My guest is Marcie Novella, entrepreneur, businesswoman, and advocate for sudden infant death syndrome, out in Brooklyn, New York. So you have the pop-up store that's going on for October. I understand October is Sudden Infant Death Syndrome Month. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And so you have a lot of work to do. You're not done. What are you going to be working on for the next few months? You were talking about still getting funding for the film, and and Sudden Infant Death Syndrome Month is going on. What can people look forward to or do to help you in this process in the next few months?
Well, just supporting. I used to do it more frequently, but now it's just an impact to have
Sure.
it done in October. So if everyone could support me during the month of October, I would really appreciate it. And also, those that are in Brooklyn, I'm selling candy bars, making deliveries, and just letting everyone know what's going on about SIDS. And in the meantime, I'm just trying to continue to grow as a person. I'm no longer going by the name Sid Kai Stevens. I'm going by my name, Marcie Novella, because I want to move forward. I want to grow as a entrepreneur,
Yes.
and that means leaving on your stupidity behind and doing other projects and supporting other causes. So I'm always going to be passionate and an advocate for SIDS, but there are other things on my to-do list.
Okay. Yeah. And I understand that. Sometimes people need to put a face and a name exactly with the purpose and the gift that you're given. So yeah, you started off at one place, and God's brought you somewhere else, and you have a different vision and a different way of going about achieving that goal. So I get it. I've even started calling you Marcie. If you notice, the last few times I've talked to you, I'm getting
Yes.
used to it. So people who are trying to help, people trying to contribute, people trying to get more information about what you're doing, is there a website, social media platforms, or anything that you can share with the viewers so they can reach out to you if they see this broadcast?
Well, just go to my Facebook page, Marcie Novella, and you'll be able to see the fundraiser. I'm also using the Sid Kai Stevens page as well. But
Okay.
gradually, I'm going to be using Marcie Novella from this point.
Okay.
So all the contact information will be updated to that actual name.
All right. So you heard that. She said you can follow her on Facebook at Marcie Novella and get information about, the programs that she's working with, the projects that she has, as also just getting familiar with her as powerful young Black woman out of Brooklyn, an entrepreneur who's taking her own time and money to help spread awareness and get the information out and stop the stigma of sudden infant death syndrome amongst people of colors. Um, we're going to finish the show. I don't want to keep you too long. Is there anything else you'd like to say, or any last words before we wrap up the show?
Well, I got a new project coming out. It's
Okay.
called The Sty. That's Dastuy.
Okay.
And that's going to be my next movie project. It's a fine um, documentary that's going to be about a young man in Bed-Stuy that turned his life around. So I'm honored to be a part of that program. I'm also a part of Pipe TV. I've been invited to be a part of that team. So listen out for it. It's on cable TV, and they do a lot of great um, causes throughout the city of New York.
Yeah, yeah. Congratulations on that project that you mentioned, the Sty.
And
That's back Bedford Stuyvesant, New York. It's like a Brooklyn thing, right?
yes, it's a Brooklyn thing,
Yeah.
but the
Okay.
story is so great that we all could benefit from it. So it's not just about being in Bed-Stuy. It's
Okay.
just where he grew up.
Yeah, I
So
was just playing on the name, the
I
Sty, Bed
know, I
Stuy,
know.
do or die, Bed Stuy. I'm from New York,
I
so I
know
get
you
it.
miss us.
BK. Oh yeah, I do. And I'm gonna have to pull up on. I'm about to pull up you. I'm gonna have to come through Brooklyn. I miss New York. Once again,
And
it's
I just
DJ.
want to say one more thing, just to
Yes,
add.
yes.
I do little side jobs as well, and
Okay.
that help promotes my entrepreneurship. So sometimes you may not be able to get the funding that you want,
Yes.
but you have to put in the work, and that might come from other resources. And I'm just blessed that I've been in a position to help people, because the bottom line is everything that I'm doing benefits someone else. And that's what I want to continue to do. That's
Yeah.
what I feel I've been blessed
Yeah.
from this whole journey is to work with children
Mhm.
and help others.
Yeah, I like that, and I'm glad you touched upon that fact about funding. That's something we really didn't get into as an entrepreneur. In any business venture, you need funds to finance your dream or your passion or your business. Um, Real quickly, as an entrepreneur, what are some of the funding techniques or streams that you've used to help raise money as an entrepreneur? I know you mentioned the pop-up shops and the other things, but what are some of the other things that a young entrepreneur, somebody doing books, films, or advocate for a cause can try and do to secure funding as a young entrepreneur?
Well, like I said, I've been working part-time. I um, I teach financial literacy
Sure.
after school, so that has money that I've made has helped with funding my film and help with not going into my own pockets.
Okay.
So it's important as an entrepreneur, you learn techniques on how to make money. You pay yourself back and you use the profits to fund your dreams. And that's what I've been doing.
Wow, I like that. Yeah, and sometimes if you have a dream or a passion, you're going to have to invest in yourself or use your own money to kind of get ahead, or to kind of like you said, fill in the gaps where funds are short. Um, Before we go, I just want to say thank you so much for agreeing to come back on the show. As we had spoke a couple of days, I hadn't really launched the Black Entrepreneur Show. I had been off the air for a while producing online streaming shows for other people, and really wanted to get back behind the camera and reaching out to a lot of the people who've supported me for so long. So thank you so much for agreeing to be the first guest and encouraging me to, get up, get back out there, get back on your grind and do what you need to do. The Black Entrepreneur, just the whole project was to show people that there are always for you to make a living, support your family, provide food, clothes, and shelter for yourself and everyone around you, other than just the 9 to 5 or in addition to the 9 to 5. And you're definitely a success story. You're definitely someone I admire, looked up to you, and stayed in close contact with you because of your passion and persistence at what you do. You haven't wavered. You haven't given up. You've actually gotten stronger and more motivated, and actually being recognized for the work that you do is very, very important as a young woman, a young entrepreneur, specifically in the New York area. So kudos to you, and everybody. Make sure you follow Marcie Novella on Facebook and look at some of the work she's doing and support if you can. Also, real quick, I want to thank you for being one of the women of DJ Gatsby's book club. I spoke to you about this earlier. The book club has been around, passion of mine for a long time. Men, women, boys and girls members. But I really look back on the statistics and the success that I had, and it was mainly the women, I think from 35 to 55 or somewhere around there, who really supported the group and kept it relevant after all these time. So as part of this project, I wanted to interview and reach back to all of those ladies who had helped me along with the other administrators for the group. And just want to, thank you so much for your support over the years and everything that you've done. Um,
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. It really is.
all right.
You make
What's
it easy when you love what you do. And I'm loving what I'm doing right now. So it doesn't even seem like I'm working. I'm just meeting great people like yourself along the way.
Yeah. Well, listen, you support me, I support you, we support each other. That's part of being an entrepreneur as well, man. And I love you, I love your family, I love everything that you do, all the projects that you have. Um,
Thank
and
you.
again, man, thanks so much for the support and love with DJ Gass's book club. So once again, it's Jeff Gassy, was a Black Entrepreneur. Look for this broadcast coming on soon. It's going to be on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Also, follow me on Facebook. Click that follow button and subscribe to my YouTube channel, DJ Gatsby Show. Just click subscribe and make sure you support Marcie Novella and learn more about sudden infant death syndrome. All right. So, Marcie, thank you so much for coming on. I love the new look, the glasses, the hair. You just kind of jazzy. I was going to say nothing. You look kind of jazzy. And
thank you.
But you said something about before loving what you do, and it shows. You know, it shows that you're really, really happy, you're really doing good. And congratulations on being recognized by the senator there in New York. I just wish you much success on everything that you do.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
All right. Good night. God bless. Thanks for watching The Black Entrepreneur with DJ Gatsby.